Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Anti-News Podcast. I'm your host, Katie Grasso, and thank you for tuning in. Today's date is June 28th, and as always, I've got 5 happy stories for you. First up, plastic bottles are used to make houses in Nigeria, chopsticks are turned into furniture, and a new species of frog is discovered. After the music break, a student graduating from high school gives away her scholarship, and Canada lets Indigenous people change their name on official documents. Plastic water bottles are super convenient for people who are always active, and while they are recyclable, a lot of the time they end up in the dump or as litter on the side of the road. Especially in poorer countries that can't always afford the best trash collection systems, water bottles are just another piece of litter waiting to fill the streets. A new project, however, seeks to not only reduce the amount of plastic water bottles, but to create more affordable homing as well with the use of bottle brick technology. In Nigeria, plastic bottles are collected from the sides of roads and landfills and are then packed full of soil. They are then laid down on top of each other in a lattice pattern, with mud and string being used to hold them in place. Once filled, the bottles are 18 times stronger than bricks, and according to the developers, can withstand earthquakes and bullets. Building one house uses roughly 14,000 bottles, and because the materials are practically free, one of these bottle brick houses can cost a third of what a traditionally constructed one can. This reduced cost is a huge help to those who live in the rural villages in the area. Another thing that helps is the fact that the project, run by the Development Association for Renewable Energies, employs young people who are out of school or jobless to fill the bottles with sand and stack them up. This not only helps to keep them out of trouble, but also gives them work experience as well. One helping the other is a sign of a healthy relationship, no matter who or what it's between. By cleaning up and recycling, we help Mother Nature heal. In return, she gives us the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we eat. Also, by cleaning up litter, like the plastic bottles used in this story, we make things look nicer for us in general. While there's nothing wrong with doing something just for yourself, if the action ends up helping others as well, then that's even better. Picture this. You've ordered in Chinese food, had a nice meal, and then you take the chopsticks and throw them out with the rest of the containers. In the United States, 1/3 of people say that they order in Chinese food at least once a month, which means that there's a lot of chopsticks that end up in landfills. Chopsticks are typically made from bamboo, which is a versatile material that has been used in almost everything from construction, paper, decoration, biofuel, and much more. Now, a German engineer and his team are finding another use for chopsticks. Felix Biak came up with chop value while in Canada studying for a PhD in structural bamboo composites over some sushi. Already having a background in wood engineering back in Germany, Biak already had the know-how to do this. Already, almost 33 million chopsticks have been diverted from landfills and given new life as tables, device stands, toys, shelves, trays, and decorations. With the success of the company so far, the team plans to open more of their micro-factories around the world to get their products to even more customers. Taking something as simple as chopsticks and turning them into something new, Chop Value is not only helping the environment by reducing the amount of waste, but they're also helping people by creating jobs and providing products that others will enjoy. There are lots of things you can do that serve 2 purposes instead of just one. Try looking around and see what you can find. You never know, something that you thought was useless might turn out to be a lot more useful than you initially thought. With how much of the world we've discovered, and with how connected we are, you'd think that we'd have discovered everything, but that couldn't be further from the truth. 80% of our oceans are unexplored, for a start, and while few, there are still places on dry land that we haven't mapped. Northern Patagonia in Chile, southern Namibia, and the Star Mountains in Papua New Guinea are just some examples. Speaking of new discoveries and New Guinea though, a new species of frog has been discovered there. In the lowland rainforests of New Guinea, an Australian research team led by frog specialist Steve Richards of the South Australian Museum has discovered a new type of tree frog. Due to their brown color, this new species has been called the chocolate frog, and is slightly smaller than a green tree frog with lavender patches around their eyes. Even though they share the same name as a treat from the Harry Potter world, finding the chocolate frog wasn't sweet or easy. The dense jungles and mangrove swamps of New Guinea are some of the least explored on Earth, and given the hazards there, it's no wonder. Crocodiles, malaria-carrying mosquitoes, giant hornets, floods, poisonous plants and animals, and least of all, a lack of roads, make the home of the chocolate frog a lot less sweet than this amphibian's name. In truth, the chocolate frog was actually discovered in 2016, but testing had to be done to make sure that the chocolate frog was indeed its own species, and not just a population of tree frogs that had somehow migrated there. The tests have come back that yes, this is indeed a new species we hadn't previously discovered. As was said in the movie Up, adventure is out there. By going somewhere that most people never would have tried or even thought to explore, we found something entirely new. While you don't have to go to the farthest reaches of the world to find something new, you do need to go out to do so. Try going to a new store or restaurant you've never been to before, or try an activity like ziplining or canoeing. You could find your new favorite thing, but you'll never know if you never look. People find their new favorite song all the time, so let's hop on over to the music break. That was Lappland by Scandinavianz with a Z. Now, onto the last two stories. The only things in life that are certain are death and taxes. However, one thing that's almost certain for anyone who attends college or university is student debt. For more than half of the students who attend higher education, they end up leaving with student debts. And for many, this can be a deterrent from even going to university or college, even if they would like to. Scholarships can help a lot, but only if you're able to get them. The more valuable the scholarship, the harder it is to get, such as the $40,000 scholarship Verda Tete, who is going to Harvard, earned. Despite the difficulty of getting into such a famous school, and of earning such a large scholarship, Verda wants the money to go to someone going to community college instead. Verda Tete graduated from Fitchburg High School in Massachusetts, and during the graduation ceremony, she was awarded a $40,000 scholarship as part of the school's General Excellence Award. Despite how much money that is, Verda surprised everyone when she asked that school admission give the General Excellence Award and the scholarship to someone who was planning to go to community college. She gave a short speech explaining her decision and how much it meant to her to do this. I am so very grateful for this, but I also know that I am not the one who needs this the most. And knowing my mom went to community college and how much that was helpful, I would be so very grateful if administration would consider giving the General Excellence Scholarship to someone who was going to community college. It is such a great honor, but I also know that I am not the most in need of it. As she left the stage, everyone in the audience, including her mother, gave her a standing ovation. Verda's mother had returned to school later in life, and that's what inspired Verda to give the scholarship away. I am in awe of her, so proud of her, and I think that that's something that's very difficult to do. Verda told NBC Boston in regard to her mom's education, but she knew she wanted to improve her life and improve the lives of her children. As anyone who's gone to college or university knows, any money you can get to help with your education is a tremendous boon. For those who are lucky enough to get a substantial scholarship, or for their parents or another family member to pay for it, never take that gift for granted. For those who aren't so lucky, try to see if there are any programs that would help you with student debt. And never forget that it's never too late to further your education. So don't fret if you can't go to college or university straight out of high school. For as much as I try to put Canada in a good light, we do have a dark past. Anyone who has heard of residential schools knows what I'm talking about. Residential schools ran from the 1870s to as late as the 1990s, and were federally funded, church-run schools that could be found in every province and territory except for Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, and New Brunswick. Roughly 150,000 children were sent to these schools, where they were taken from their families and forced to give up their traditions, cultural practices, and languages. This was part of Canada's aggressive assimilation plan in regards to the Indigenous population. Tragically, an estimated 6,000 children died at these schools, and many more were left traumatized. It's something that the country has been trying to make up for, to help those who suffered recover from the horrendous acts that were committed against them. One of those acts was being forced to adopt European Christian names, for which the government is finally fixing. Back in 2015, Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission announced 94 calls to action that would help mend the relationship between Canadians and the Indigenous people. Until now, most of those have been ignored, but the 17th Act, that of letting Indigenous people reclaim their traditional names, is finally being followed. Marco Mendicino, Canada's Citizenship Minister, explains that The traditional names given to Indigenous children carry deep cultural meaning. Yet for many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people, colonization has robbed them of these sacred names. At times, efforts to use traditional names have been met with everything from polite rejection to racism. Boys who were sent to these residential schools had their hair cut short. While that might seem like an insignificant thing to many, in many tribes, hair is part of their cultural identity and helps to promote self-esteem, self-respect, and create a sense of belonging. Likewise, an Indigenous person's traditional name has the same purpose. Now, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis are finally allowed to change their name on official documents, such as driver's licenses and health cards, and not just the survivors of residential schools either, but also those who have been hesitant to use their traditional names for one reason or another. There is no such thing as a clean history. Groups of people have faced horrible acts cast against them for a variety of reasons, and most likely such acts will happen again. We can't go back and stop these acts from happening, but we can fix their consequences, and it's extremely important that we do. Admittedly, this last story may not be as happy as the previous ones I've covered on this podcast, but it is still very good news. The consequences of a horrible action, while not being undone, are at the very least being apologized for and fixed as best as possible. Never forget this in your own life. Even if you've done something horrible, if you are genuinely willing to make amends and face the consequences, then forgiveness and healing can be found. Here's today's advice. Spring cleaning and need an all-purpose cleaner? Mix 4 tablespoons baking soda with 4 cups warm water to make one yourself. Another option is using a funnel. Put 1 teaspoon baking soda, half a teaspoon dish soap, and 2 tablespoons vinegar into a spray bottle, mix it up, and then let it sit for a minute. After that, fill the bottle with warm water, shake it up, and you're good to go. That's it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to support this podcast, you can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Google and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spreaker. Links can be found in the description, and until next time, remember that there is still some good in the world, you just gotta look for it. Take care out there, everyone.